All right. So I think we're good. So today is July 24th, 2024. And we have an interesting week, y'all. This stream is going to be nice to talk about some of the developments of what we've had. So we have had a couple things. Previous president being shot at. We have also had a president dropping out of the race to become the next president, here in November of 2024, going into the next 4 years. We have now also had just an Ethereum ETF drop yesterday. So we see the trading for that. Now we have some new developments coming tomorrow. The Bitcoin conference. We've got people like, Michael Saylor and Kathy Wood talking, but we got Donald Trump speaking as the headliner. We've got guys like Vivek speaking at the conference. You can't have it any more interesting than this. This has become this campaign race for some of these politicians, really all of them, really, that are trying to get somewhere. They understand that crypto is a whole voting block now. And so this is something to pay attention to, really. Like, I really wouldn't normally say, hey, we need to pay so much attention to politics within investing. But if you're a crypto investor, if you're in this market, you definitely want to be paying attention to some of these things, because the more, it's all based upon confidence, you guys. So the more confidence that people have that things may go a certain way monetarily, basically, if people think, hey, it's going to be a little bit easier for me to do better with my investments, then they're going to start trying to place those bets now. Versus if they feel like, okay, things look like they may get a little bit harder, then they won't place those bets. But it looks like increasingly these factors tend to show that things are going to look like we have a little bit easier monetary path. As far as interest rates going down in 2025, that's going to happen. It may start this year. We have a president that says, hey, I like Bitcoin, that could potentially be elected with Mr. Donald Trump here. We've got other aspects of like, stimulus on the horizon. Now, all right, you guys, yesterday I went to an event. It's a networking event, a business networking event. And I'm not going to say the exact city, but large city, metro city, where they discuss city plans and things. They're talking about how they got these grants and these things, once again, from the government in the billions of dollars. Hey, we got this grant from this bill. Hey, we got this money from this bill. They needed government. They need contractors to go in and help work these government contracts. So they need to give this money out. So that, hey, we need a whole bunch of people to bid for this work. So they're talking about in the billions of dollars. And I'm in my head like, man, most people don't even know that this money got printed out of thin air. But they do it all the time, right? For infrastructure, but also at the same time, we're just saying like here, like we're funding all kind of different things. Money comes from thin air. So, and that's just one city. This is happening all throughout the nation. Billions of dollars being handed out. And it's not always via just, oh, here's a stimmy check. But yes, it's available for those who do the work. Those who go and do the work, get the money. They receive it from the printed government money. They get it. And then they go and spend it, do what they want with it, with the markets, all kind of stuff. So this is what it looks like. But yeah, we got some things that are happening. The question is crypto real freedom? I want to go on the limb and say financial freedom really is one of the only true freedoms, because, I mean, think about it. We don't live in a democracy, at least here in the United States. If y'all are to look at it and look at the documentation, nowhere in the Constitution or the Articles of Confederation or any of these states, constitutions is the word democracy at all. Think about it. There's a thing, if y'all don't know how it works, there's a thing called the popular vote and there's the thing called the Electoral College. There's been so many times that people have won the popular vote. Al Gore won the popular vote, but President Bush won the Electoral College. And 99% of the time, like if you win the popular vote, you will win the Electoral College, but not 100% of the time. We've seen situations to where, yeah, they want to make you think like the common folk get to decide who the president is, but that's not the case. And they're going to portray that, continue to make it seem like that's the case. So what? Because when people figure out like they actually don't have the power to pick the president or who's in charge, then guess what? Then there's rebellion, then there's revolt, then there's all these things. And so they don't want that. The actual real, like whatever you want to call it, the deep state or the private government, the people that actually make the decisions, they don't want us to understand that actually, like, yeah, we're doing this, we're voting with this popular vote, but it's all based upon this Electoral College, as a group of selected people that actually really do select the president. And I believe that they select the president even years in advance, right? So they know what's going on. They know, hey, this guy Joe Biden, he was there for a reason, for a time, but his time is done. They don't need him anymore. They need something else, somebody else. They're going to decide who's going to be, regardless of who you vote for. I'm just hoping that you guys know that if you're in the United States. But the key is this: when it comes to real sovereignty and freedom, that's going to be on your availability to transact and move around and do what you need to do and how you want to do it. So with this life, owning assets like real estate, it can be taken away from you. So technically that, like, you're free to use it for now until you do something, like maybe don't pay something right when they need you to. But once again, when I talk about freedom, it's just like having the ability to keep what's yours and not have it taken away from you. Because I think that it's not free. Like, there's strings attached. That's the key. It's not freedom. It's like it's string attached. You can have it from now, but do something I don't like and I will strip it from you. So that's not freedom in my opinion. But once again, crypto, if you do it the right way, it cannot be taken from you. And you can transact with it. And you can say, hey, I want to go from here to here with it. Not be stuck to a certain spot. That's the beginning, right? And hopefully you have enough of this asset. Hopefully you have enough of your nest egg to be able to say, hey, I can do this for a long time. So that's the key. Crypto, I would say, is the first glimpse, a beginning of real freedom, especially if you live in a state or a country like the United States. Which, yeah, there's a lot of things that are cool, that are convenient, that are luxuries, but I wouldn't consider all of this freedom. It's a illusion to a certain extent. So let's get into it. Thank y'all for coming through. Who we got in the chat? We got Wade. What it do? In here getting those daily deposits for sure. So, and yeah, this week I'm hoping has y'all's attention. It definitely has mine. Today I want to show you guys just things that I scoured through x.com. Things that I thought that were relevant, that I think that we just need to pit stop, take a look at, and we'll go on from there. So what it do? Oh, snap. Salad Crypto Fool. And y'all, join the Patreon. Join the Patreon. Think about it. I have a free version. If y'all are like, I'm not quite sure about this whole, just join the free version. It's easy. Click the link below. Join the Patreon. All right. Just a little plug real quick. Let's see. What's up, brother? Charlie said you were one of the guys to follow for market analysis, so I'm here. Yes, I believe that I may be one of those guys. So cool. Glad that you watched some videos. Stay locked in. Stay locked in, because there's a lot of information, a lot of good things that I can just kind of make us aware of, right? And so, yeah. And Kamala got the invite. Yeah, so she got the invite to kind of go about and move things forward. I don't think she's the one. She's not the character. She doesn't have the enthusiasm to, because I don't think people's opinion of Donald Trump is going to change at this point. I don't think Kamala has the enthusiasm to just make a whole bunch of people like, oh yeah, she's just the one that's just going to come out here and beat Donald Trump. I don't think it's going to happen. So we'll see how they go about it, man. They're going to, I know how the deep state or whatever we want to call it, the private government, how they're going to want to go about things on not only seeing her, but who they choose to be her vice president running mate. Because as right now, they're going to go up against J.D. Vance and Donald Trump. These guys got the people as of right now, especially crypto folks. So for them to get us, like I don't even know what they're gonna say, what they're gonna do, but they need somebody because right now it looks like they stand no chance. I showed you guys some odds, some bets, like people can actually bet on elections, right? Just like a sport, and like the odds are nowhere near in the Democrats' favor at this moment. So yes, sir, we're here. So just things to think of. So let's jump over to some information. We'll scour through X and I'll show you guys just some things I think that are relevant. We're going to look at Solana marketing. We're going to look at the BlackRock marketing. What are they saying about this Ethereum ETF? They have new commercial for their clients. We're going to look at about the messaging for Bitcoin. I'm going to focus on this in this stream. What is the messaging that is being produced out there that people are intaking? And how's that going to maybe adjust or sway sentiment? Let's take a look. So let's jump on in. All right. So there's CoinGecko. We'll get to there in a second. All right. So let's look at this really quickly. Here, the BlackRock head of digital assets, Robert Mitchnick, I believe his name is, discusses BlackRock's iShares Ethereum Trust ETF. So the ticker. So we'll be monitoring this ticker from here on out, you guys. I've been doing the same thing with the BlackRock ticker for the Bitcoin ETF, IBIT. This is ETHA, so ETHA. And he's going to say how he views Bitcoin and Ethereum as complements, not competitors. So let's take a look at this. Hopefully we don't get a copyright strike, but if we do, it is what it is. I ain't tripping. My channel's not that large enough for it to matter that much.
How do you explain Ethereum to the average person here? Is there a very large difference in how you see interest really being drummed up for this versus Bitcoin?
I think that the simplest way to think about Ethereum is that it is a bet on technology innovation around blockchain. And that's quite different from when we think about Bitcoin as this prospective emerging global monetary alternative. And I think that's important for investors to keep in mind, is that we really view Bitcoin and Ethereum as complements, not as competitors or substitutes.
Well, it's interesting, too. I was talking to Eric Balchunas over at Bloomberg Intelligence. 250 million in volume is what ETH, if you want to call it that, is given towards the end of the day today. That would put it very high up there, one of the top 50 best fund launches. It would also mean as a group, the group would be doing about $1 billion in volume. Is that a success?
Well, I think we're thinking much longer term than any one day's particular volumes or inflows. But when we think about success in this space, it starts first and foremost with delivering a BlackRock and iShares quality access vehicle to our clients, as well as a lot of what we're focused on, similar to Bitcoin, is being a great thought partner on the education journey around Ethereum. As you note, it's even more complex in some ways than the education journey around Bitcoin, which obviously we spent a lot of time with our clients on.
So if you're thinking about this longer term than just today, of course, that certainly makes sense. But what would be a realistic assets under management in this ETF in the next 12 or 18 months? What's the number you want to see?
Yeah, well, I think it's tough to project that. There's obviously a lot of
but you got to have
unknowns
goals.
in the
market. You got to have
market.
goals internally.
Well, I think if we look at the case of IBIT and the Bitcoin ETFs, that was pretty extraordinary, right? IBIT today at 22 billion in AUM after just more than 6 months. That broke a lot of records, obviously in ETF fund launches, but there's a lot of room for success and significant AUM gathering, even that would fall below.
I love the way that he just approached this. He's basically saying, so he starts off by saying, hey, we are presenting an Ethereum ETF. Our education piece is continuing, so we need to educate our clients about this. These are the wealthiest of the wealthy, obviously. Now, with that being said, we also have to look at how are they trying to communicate that understanding of what Ethereum is. And so this is a bet on technology, the technology layer that allows you to have more access to applications within cryptocurrency. Bitcoin does not have that. So that is maybe a little bit easier pitch. I personally think that Ethereum is not hard to pitch at all. Like all these talking heads saying, oh, it's a harder thing to understand and all this stuff. I don't think that's to be true. It's not. Ethereum, it has deflating monetary policy that is actually better than Bitcoin. So that's key. It has a better roadmap. Yes, you can upgrade the chain. But in all technology that you want to grow and do better through the time, that's actually a good feature, not a bad thing. Especially if they've been doing it right, because Ethereum's been out for dang near 10 years. And they've been making great progress through that 10 years. Making it better. I think making things better is a beautiful thing. Now, once again, we've got to understand also it is a store of value just like Bitcoin. Just like Bitcoin. Why? Simply because there's a market for it. There's demand for it. And the supply, if we've looked at and done some research from EIP 5059, there's a burn function. And then so the more usage, which more people that come to it, is going to happen naturally. The monetary policy, the inflation rate is lower than Bitcoin's. So it's super simple. That makes it a store of value, you know? So all this stuff of like, it's hard to explain. I just did it and it took me less than 2 minutes. But let's take a look, a detailed look here and see who the players are. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 ETFs for Ethereum as well. The key thing is this is to look at, you know, who's got what. And so to read this chart easily, and I'll kind of break it down. So Grayscale Ethereum Trust, they had a lot of Ethereum already, So, you know, if you guys don't know, people were able to buy the Ethereum Trust before it was ETF. And so they just nicely, smoothly, just like X'd off. They sold a lot. They sold about $484 million. Okay. So that's a lot, you know. It is what it is. But we all know the same thing happened with Bitcoin. The same thing happened in that first week where they just dumped and offloaded a lot of the coin. So venture to say, yeah, like most likely that's going to happen here. What up, Rob? Thank you for coming to catch the stream. But with that being said, so on the other side, you had BlackRock, so iShares Ethereum, so ETH, with 266 million in inflow. That's pretty good. Fidelity coming below that with 71 million of inflow. And then even Bitwise, this was nice to see Bitwise with 204 million in inflow. Now, all these other ones are smaller, you know. You're going to have the Grayscale Ethereum Mini Trust, so like this crap right here, which, you know, they had outflows here for the Ethereum Trust, but the Mini Trust got $15 million in inflow. VanEck with 7, you know, Franklin Templeton with 13 million, Invesco with 5 million and 21 shares with 7. And so it was a net negative day of 106 because of this large dumpage. But guess what? As soon as this is done dumping so much, Ethereum, welcome to the party. Price appreciation on the way. Okay. So this is how that goes. We'll continue to track that. We'll look at the chart here of ETH here in a second. But things to pay attention to now. These are other things and folds into the market. Another layer that is important for us to monitor. All right, what else? And so, and here's this flow. So as y'all can see, and the reason why I have this up, because it's important to look at, is look at the amount, right? So seed, how much do they start with? How much do they have? So as we can see, once again, we've gone through these numbers on the inflow side. And if you see this in red, that's the outflow. So we know these numbers. But look at how much Grayscale has in their trust. They've got a lot, you know. So if we were to like break it down, you know, this is maybe like a small portion of what they have. They have about a little bit more than 9,000 of their shares that they just, or I guess you can say not their shares, because this is 400 million. Then they got $9 billion in Ethereum that they started with. And so they may have to run through a good portion of that. maybe half of that. So how many trading days does that look like? So that looks to be, maybe like, shoot, to get rid of all of that, I mean, if they're dumping this much, that's 18 trading days or 21 trading days to get rid of all that. But I don't know if they'll get rid of all of what they have. So this first month, just think of it as this ain't skying, maybe quite yet, just because there's so much sell pressure. No matter what all these other ones do, there's a lot of sell pressure because look how much they have. So that's an important factor to know and understand upfront. But overall, to see, there's $10 billion within these, ETFs, I guess you can say at first. Now we'll see the shuffle around. BlackRock, they'll soak up a good bit of this. And so Bitcoin in the first 6 months had $20 billion in net inflow. I mean, in a year's time, so if we, take a trampoline, we bounce from here to July of 2025, I could see this. So 1 year, I could see Ethereum having $15 to $20 billion in net inflow as well. Now, at that time, Bitcoin might be at 40 or 60. We'll find out. But there's money coming in, y'all. And day one was good because the volume off of day one was just at about $1 billion. So that's pretty dang good. Pretty dang good. All right, let's continue on. What other things matter? So this is tracking what's going on. BlackRock, even yesterday, they bought 1,000 BTC. And so it's nice to see that, we had this incredible inflow from January. So from the launch, a little, slow, week number one. But after that, we had a lot of inflows, net inflows going to the upside. Then we trailed off. So we trailed off from March all the way up until really it seems like, now we're starting to kick back up. The gradient of this is starting to have a nice accumulation. So even though we had Germany selling, we had Mt. Gox, people getting their coins back, potentially selling all this stuff, BlackRock's still going strong with their accumulation. And so we want to see more follow through with that. Because even yesterday, the 23rd, people got to understand BlackRock is still accumulating the hundreds of millions of dollars, if that. So that's good. Very good. We need to pay attention to BlackRock and how they move. So we looked at that. What is this? Oh, okay. Let's pay attention to this really quick. Let's go back down. All right. So BlackRock, they have other tokenized funds. I hope you guys know. All right. So they have a $500 million tokenized fund. They plan to allocate $34 million towards Athena's real world assets, investment plan. Real world assets. These are things like I mentioned on the channel, Ondo. Maybe go see what that ecosystem is all about. It's allowing these TradFi guys to get a yield opportunity through these vehicles. But Athena, this is something that they're associated with as well. They're trying to slowly break into some altcoin action here. And so $34 million can do a lot in the altcoin space. So keep watching their moves on how they're going about it. So this is their tokenized fund, because when they have these tokenized funds, this is allowing the real money to come into the space, y'all. So it's not just Bitcoin and Ethereum. Slowly, the alts are going to start to get some of this liquidity, and it's going to be through these types of funds. These are important things to know about and understand. So there's that. What else? So we covered that. Now, yeah, they're doing this over there in Vegas on the Sphere. Pretty cool. More marketing, more advertising. Bitcoin. All right. Bravo, Bitcoin. You got on the Vegas Sphere. Some people are a little nervous because that, like, okay, that means these exchanges, because if you've seen the very, very beginning, that was a crypto.com little like blue tag, like kind of falling off. People are saying, oh, well, if crypto.com got enough money to do this, that means the market's overheated. No, at the same time, also understand that crypto.com just got a lot of money just in general. Not because the market's heating up. They can afford stuff like this. They have a large marketing budget. Okay. Now, this is the video that I did want to get to here. So this is BlackRock. This is a video that they have going out to their institutional investors explaining how Ethereum is, once again, becoming a viable option to invest in for the large players. So let's go ahead and watch this.
You could think Ethereum is the second largest cryptocurrency by market cap after Bitcoin and has key characteristics that make it Bitcoin's key appeal in its scarcity. Many find Ethereum's appeal in its utility. Ethereum is a highly programmable blockchain that provides infrastructure for a diverse range of assets and use cases. You could think of Ethereum as a global platform for applications. This platform enables applications referred to as smart contracts to run without a centralized intermediary. Transactions on Ethereum require a transaction fee to be paid in the network's native token, Ether. Investor interest in Ether has been expanding as more people adopt digital assets. And that's why we're introducing ETH, the iShares Ethereum Trust ETF, which provides investors convenient exposure to Ether. Here are 3 things to know about ETH. The first is access. ETH enables investors to access Ethereum's native token Ether within a traditional brokerage account. The second is convenience. ETH can help remove operational burdens associated with holding Ether directly, as well as potential high trading costs and tax reporting complexities. And finally, integrated technology. ETH is managed by the world's largest asset manager and leverages a multi-year technology integration developed with Coinbase Prime, the world's largest institutional digital asset custodian. Access ETH through your online brokerage or discuss with your financial professional to find out how ETH could fit into your portfolio. Visit www.
Okay. So the key is like, and even listening to the small words at the end, fit into your portfolio. Understand that these large players base up like their portfolio on a pie chart on percentages. Okay. And that's maybe something that y'all might have heard, like, hey, what portion of the portfolio will, Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs take up? Even if it's just like a small portion, we're talking about like 1 to 3% anywhere in there. And if it becomes globally accepted by these large players, which is slowly starting to do that, you got to understand that's how we get from the market being from 2.4 trillion to 7 to 8 or 10 trillion this cycle, and this next cycle to 10 to 40 trillion, and therefore and thereon. Once again, let's be in this for the long haul, y'all. Like, don't just be a one-trick pony. Like, this is the market to be in over this next decade, you guys. So, especially over the next 6 years. So, this is very interesting. They're saying, hey, Ethereum has qualities that Bitcoin doesn't have in form of utility. All technology is beneficial because of the utility it provides us. Like, think about that. Because crypto at its base function is a type of technology. And so this is an easy, well, like I said, an easy pitch to say, hey, you're betting on technology within crypto. Now, there's other technology, but this one is the most established. And since they're not so, they're not so, I guess you say, literate on understanding all the technology in crypto, they may not know the Solana that may be a little bit faster or this other stuff that might be cheaper and all that. But they say, hey, but which one has the longest like base that has the technology and utility? Ethereum, okay, cool. It's the number 2 coin. Okay, cool. I'm good with that. So it's super easy to pitch, in my opinion. What else we got? We got, this guy, Sailor, once again talking about Ethereum. But the key thing is this, like, look at Richard Hart. I got to give it to him, man, because there's a lot of moments where it's just like, Richard Hart was right. That happened. He says, in honor of Ethereum ETF Day, which was yesterday, F you, Sailor. Closest monopolist praying the state cripple competition. He's trying to cripple competition by saying this 100% just only Bitcoin. It's un-American, unpatriotic, and unbecoming. Right? This is Richard Hart's view. And to be honest, I think competition helps everybody advance. But you don't want to know the people. Okay, so I played sports for a long time, y'all. You want to know the people who don't want competition, that don't want to rise to the competition, is the people that don't have the attributes to continue to succeed moving forward. Once said competition does arrive, they're scared. People that don't want no competition are like, nah, man, nah. Like, but people that want competition, they're willing to improve and get better. Bitcoin can't do that. Therefore, no competition. That's what Michael Saylor's trying to pitch here. But we're gonna see through time where things shake out. Okay, so there's that. We've got the Bitwise CEO. So this is the the ETF that had 204 million in inflow, so number 2 behind BlackRock. Let's go ahead and take a look at that really quick.
That's been an incredible reaction, to be honest. It's exceeded my expectations. Through lunchtime, we had about $500 million traded in these new ETFs. By comparison, the average ETF trades about $1 million on its launch day. So it's shaping up to be the second most successful ETF launch of all time, after, of course, the Bitcoin ETFs. And we expect to see strong flows into ETHW, the Bitwise Ethereum ETF, when we close out later today.
Given that you've had now 2 successful launches, spot Bitcoin, spot Ethereum, what's next? Ethereum had significant regulatory questions around it. Does this mean you can turn faster into more crypto assets for a spot ETF?
The first thing I would say is there are still unlocks to go, even for Bitcoin ETFs and Ethereum ETFs, just because they're approved and many people can buy them. Some of the largest wealth management platforms in the world, folks like Morgan Stanley and Merrill Lynch and others, are still working through the due diligence. So there's big steps to go forward just for those 2 assets. Long term, as we look into 2025, we've entered the ETF era of crypto. We're going to see ETFs on multiple crypto assets. We're going to see index-based ETFs. You've already seen firms filing for Solana ETFs. The thing we've learned from the Bitcoin and Ethereum ETF launches is that ETFs work in this asset class. They lower costs, they raise protections, and investors want them. I think we'll see a wide array in the next year or 2.
Cool. And, once again, they won't make these products, one, if they can't make money off it, and they know that they can make money off of things that people want. It's simple. So, yeah, they got in $200 million, or 204 to be exact, in inflows. That's a lot of money, y'all. Now, imagine this being just a buy clip constantly throughout the next however long. As you can see, ETFs are some of the most valuable things to have in portfolios. And we're talking about, for years, people hold ETFs, VOO. And that's the SP 500 ETF that people just hold on to forever, right? This is nice, y'all. Having these ETF products brings a little bit more stability to crypto, believe it or not. So that's it. Hopefully, we're feeling like this. We're like, all right, let's go. It's time. It's time to get it, right? And these things through the years can really start to produce for us. Now, we're not at the gambling table, but we're on the forefront of amazing times. We really are. Like, it's a nice thing to see. What else we got? And Richard Hart pointing things out again. What does he say? So here to the right, he's saying Ethereum is better than Bitcoin in all the ways the ETF marketing guys aren't telling you. Okay, so but should be lower inflation, which is true. Higher throughput, which is true. Lower fees. When the network is not being used a crazy amount, so there's a caveat. It does have more features and is better for the environment because proof of stake, not doing a whole bunch of crazy mining, taking up all the energy on the grids. It's strong roadmap because they can improve it, and it's more secure. Like, security is on many different levels, and his claim is saying, hey, it's never had an inflation bug because Bitcoin is that too. So there's things that you can say, hey, in these areas, Ethereum is better. And so that's something to notice. Now, I do want to talk about Solana here. Solana, over the past day, they're trying to, obviously with Ethereum having its ETF and having this moment of like getting in front of people, Solana is now once again trying to carve out its niche and carve out its type of messaging. Let's see what that looks like.
Has been exclusively for the ultra wealthy. Not only that, but bonds, real estate, and even loans are far easier to access with a high net worth. These financial products are simply not accessible on a global scale. However, access to these products is opening up on Solana. Real-world assets like hedge funds and real estate are financial products that exist in the tangible world. Unfortunately, only the wealthiest and most connected gain entry into these asset classes and reap their benefits. According to Forbes, in the US, The minimum investment for most hedge funds start at $100,000, and you can only invest if your net worth exceeds $1 million. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. Take Bridgewater, for example. They require investable assets worth up to $7.5 billion, and even then, you need an invitation to join. These real-world assets are not only unavailable to most people, but they also come with all the downsides of traditional finance, like slow settlements and trading limited to office hours. But what if there was a way to democratize these real-world assets, making them accessible to more people, regardless of net worth or connections? Enter on-chain real-world assets on Solana. By tokenizing an asset, a process that links digital token or NFT, it can take advantage of Solana's decentralized infrastructure. Unlike traditional markets that close their doors at the end of the day, on-chain assets can be accessed 24/7 and settle near instantly anywhere around the world. For example, Libra recently announced the first ever tokenized hedge fund on Solana with Brevin Howard and Hamilton Lane, offering a bunch of crypto-native benefits. Instead of a $100,000 minimum, investors can access the fund with just $10,000, 1/10 of the cost. And unlike TradFi hedge funds, investors aren't locked in for years. They can leave with a month's notice and a penalty fee. This is just one example of how the Solana ecosystem is dismantling barriers in the world of traditional finance. Bonds, loans, investment properties are now being tokenized on Solana. And this is opening up financial opportunities at a truly global scale. A shift that sounds like a win for everyone. Head to solana.com/RWAS to learn more.
All right, you guys. So this is a major development. I don't know if y'all understand that these actual tangible assets, this is trillions of dollars on the line here that they're slowly starting to tokenize them and say, hey, you can partake in if you got at least 10 grand. Okay. So things to think about. Let me actually take myself off so that way we can go ahead and see this full screen. So these are things to think about, y'all. Listen to what they said, bonds. The bond market is ginormous. You can get access and the instant finality, right? So, all right, cool, I want to get this and have it. Have a portion of this. Have a portion of this real estate portfolio that typically only the ultra rarely get access to. You have an opportunity. So maybe do a little research there, y'all. Spend maybe a whole week and go look at solana.com/real world assets, whatever they said. This is interesting. So let's continue on. More commercials. Let's see what else they got.
The problem with centralized rideshare is a single company controls the prices and owes it to their shareholders to have to take as much of the fare as possible. That's not good for the drivers, that's not good for the riders. So our vision for transportation is not a single company runs the system, but thousands of small businesses that each make a lot of revenue are building this network together. And it's better for the drivers, it's better for the riders, because suddenly competition returns to the rideshare market. Teleport is a new approach to creating an internet system for delivering services. Riders and drivers work together to build the network, and thus the fees are much lower. Instead of a single company having to build the entire market, the riders and drivers are involved in building the network.
Well, with rideshare for about 7.5 years. Between Uber and Lyft, about 36,000 passengers. My experience with them has been good in the beginning, but has been declining over time. Their fares have been reduced so much that's going to other places and not to the actual driver.
So whenever you bring a centralized party in, that party gets too much power. By building the rideshare network on an open platform like Solana, we can make sure there's competition between different operators and the prices are better for consumers.
It's actually surprising that I'm saving about 15% versus legacy rideshare, and the driver actually makes more than driving on other platforms. So it's a win-win for both.
I thought it was really great that on Teleport you could use crypto, but you could also do Apple Pay or use a credit card. It was really convenient and easy to use.
So the driver makes more.
Okay, so I'm not going to play the whole thing, but y'all see what's going on here. Now, it's not only real stuff or real assets or real utility being pulled into crypto, but crypto being deployed out there on the streets. And so this is interesting because like what they're doing is they're slowly using decentralization to cut out the middleman. Y'all don't understand how many billions of dollars that Lyft and Uber make just off of being the one centralized party that gets to decide everything. This is interesting to see. So once again, Teleport XYZ is getting a follow from me. I'm going to keep tracking this. Things to look at as time goes on, for sure. And we got to go ahead and finish with this. Like, come on now. Let's go. This is great. Ferrari. Ooh, I like Ferraris. Cool. To accept Bitcoin and Ethereum payments in Europe. Ah, dang, I got to move to Europe. But I like that, right? So this is basically a beautiful step. We'll see how long this lasts or whatever the case is. Might have to do some more research for sure to verify. Go on their website or maybe call your Ferrari dealer if you know where to call. Call your rep at Ferrari. Tell them, hey, y'all accept this crypto in Europe if y'all out there. Let me know. So, yeah, this is nice to see. Okay. So there's like the rundown, like kind of seeing how things are being marketed. What are some key things that are happening currently, current events? Let's move over to look at some other things. This next thing coming up. So this Bitcoin conference, they have one coming tomorrow through the 27th in Nashville, Tennessee. This is going to be something that a lot of people are going to pay attention to. And let's watch price during that time period. As you can see, we have a lot of people. So we got the Trump Meister. He's coming in. We've even got, other independent presidential candidates like RFK, Kathy Wood, and Michael Saylor are a given. They're always, speaking. But we even got people like Russell Brand. Okay, so these guys are more so like Russell Brand is more so on the current news and trying to give people the truth that the media is not going to give you. So he's got a big Rumble channel. And we even got Edward Snowden. This is the whistleblower, the guy that got exiled from the USA for quite some time, but he's probably going to be in talking about some things. We got Vivek, another political figure. So there's a lot of people. Now, with that being said, there's going to be a lot of people going presumptuously, but there's a cost to this. Now, these tickets are $700 minimum. And if you want that VIP experience, you come up with the 21 racks and you'll get the ball rolling. So this is coming up. The current price is nice to see this. Bitcoin sitting at 66,000 some change. Sponsored by Kraken. Okay, so shameless plug there for Kraken. But so there's a lot of aspects of it. But see who's involved. So we got some of the miners involved here. So we got Marvel. We got Clean Spark as well. And it's also just a important thing to look and see who's involved. Learn about some of these companies. Do your due diligence. Ledger. Okay, let me talk about them really quickly. Now, mind you, I've moved on and I've focused a little bit more on Trezor, right? So Trezor, cold storage wallet. They are finally. I just got an email yesterday. They are finally sending out the Ledger stacks that I paid hundreds of dollars for. I don't know how long ago. Seems like years ago. Finally shipping it out, man. So I don't even know if I'm gonna use it at this point, but about time. They took a while, but Ledger Stacks is, it's gonna be, I guess, the next level version of security, but usability with this touchscreen. So we'll see. I'll update y'all on that. But anyways, yeah. So we got that going. All right, you guys. Let's briefly look at some of these prices. So let's update this on CoinGecko. Bitcoin, now coming back up. We were a little bit lower at 66,000 flat, but now we're at 66.8. And it's having an okay week, up 3% for the week, Really, I love the fact, because here's the reason why I think having Solana in the portfolio is key and it's important, is even though Ethereum with its ETF getting all the media press and all the bullshitness, it had a better week prior to the ETF launch, Solana, than Ethereum. Better week than Bitcoin. So you guys, at $178, Solana they're going to be number 3. Like BNB is just barely beating them. In market cap, they're beating them by about like $8 billion, but that can change in a week and definitely in a month for Solana. You don't see BNB doing no commercials, doing no real, BNB is there's just a lot of old money sitting in there, all right? But Solana, they're really trying to make some things happen. That's a good thing to see. Like over 7 days, what has done well? Things on Solana, right? So dog with hat. Woof woof. You already know how I feel about dog with hat, y'all. Been in it since 30 cents. Let's rock and roll to the top. But things like Helium up 18.6% for the week. Mantle up 14%. Things like Thorchain really feel good about Rune. Thorchain up about 12% on the week. So it's a moderate week, or last 7 days, I guess you can say, thus far. We know that we're in the thick of the alt season. When we start seeing this be like in a week's time span, be like 40, 50%, or 70%, or 100%. Like when we start seeing numbers like that, and we see like this whole page, right? So like the whole half of the page where everything is up like 30, 40, 50% in a week. That's how you know you're in the alt season, y'all. So we're not there yet. Easy sentiment read. Cool. So let's jump over to some charts. So right here, you guys, if y'all have TradingView, go ahead and throw this ticker in. So it's ETH. Now I got this on the 30-minute chart because there's just not much data. And so this is basically explaining the first day. So how did the first day go? Make a little box. So first day. So it dumped. There was some excitement early on in the morning. It dumped hard, and then it had a recovery after lunch, and then it settled down. So basically, not much going on. This is, Grayscale dumping, then BlackRock, and I'm just doing some narrating on you guys. I'm not giving, I don't know 100% sure, but based upon the chart, this is kind of what it looks like to be. So basically, it's like, all right, cool. You have the normal dumpage. All right, we have some like the beginning entry of like, okay, everybody dabble in. Let's go ahead and grab some. And then once it gets to a nice enough price, then Grayscale is like, dump. Okay, we came back down a little bit. Let's do a little bit more, a little grab. And then Grayscale just dump everything that we can for the day. And so they dumped their, $400+ million. And then slowly you see that trickle in. This is BlackRock saying, ooh, this looks like a nice spot. Boom, $100 million clip. All right, cool. And then the rest, like Franklin Templeton and Van Neck. And then Bitwise is like, oh, okay, cool. Let me put 100 million. Boom. And then also Fidelity put their 50 million, and BlackRock, okay, we got some confidence to go ahead and throw that other 100 million in. And then, a little bit more Grayscale dump. So, but all the while chilling, on the day, not much going. Now we got this in the next 15 minutes. It's going to start printing some more candles. So we'll see what this looks like in the next day. But we want to see, we really want to start being able to look at this chart on the weekly time scale, just like how we can scroll over to IBIT and look at that on a weekly chart. I mean, we could really use any of them, but I like using BlackRock because it's a large player. Where's IBIT? So IBIT. And this is a nice constructive chart, you guys. So that's the having profit window. So this is for Patreon members, Vulsa Crypto members. I have this source code for y'all to utilize to understand, based upon the halving, most of the gains are had in between week 40 and 80. So you want to be able to get access to this, jump to the Patreon. But that's for another stream. So we'll take the having profit window off, that indicator off for now. But if we can look at this even on a weekly chart, this is a nice bullish move. So you have an impulse up. So you have an impulse up, a consolidation. And so look at these candle bodies more than anything. And you have a megaphone here. And so the good part about it is now we're approaching the top trend line. And the probabilities of us being close to that top trend line versus the bottom is much higher compared to even 3 weeks ago. So things can change really quickly. Like most patterns, a lot of the time that are very similar to this, in due time, if it does wants to play around with this, it's going to go ahead. And so it's going to go ahead, come up to it. We'll see if it gets rejected. If it gets rejected, okay, we'll come back down. But if it doesn't, if it wants to poke its head out, it'll make a new high, use this as support, and then it's off to, making a new pattern outside of this structure here. And so we'll see if that looks like going into Q3 and Q4 of this year. But so that's the IBIT chart. Now, I'm going to hit y'all with some sauce, okay? So if you guys are ready for some sauce, I'm going to show you guys a ratio that we can be paying attention to that a lot of us should look into understanding more of. And I'm going to display it for us today. So this ratio in particular is going to be, well, let's just look at the chart first. So this is the others chart. If y'all don't know what this is the total market cap of crypto, excluding the top 10 coins. So this is not including Solana and Ethereum and BNB and, you know, those stable coins and whatnot. So this is the others chart. So let me make it make sense. Others. Now, when we're looking at this, we need to discuss a couple things here. One, is the chart bullish? So is the altcoin space bullish to be in? And is it up and to the right through the years? This is the weekly chart now. That's a bullish chart. So currently $236 billion. So that's pretty bullish. Others. All right. So get to know it. What you find is we have these horizontal channels that we reside in before we get the liquidity pop. And we are in the middle of one of those where we have a local low. So that's January 2023, where it's just like, this was an amazing time to be buying altcoins. And the beautiful thing about the halving profit window is we could use it on stuff like this. Once again, like I mentioned before, why the halving profit window is important to have access to and utilize. As you can see, we can even go back from 2 cycles before, last cycle and the cycle before, in between week 40 and 80, typically are those time periods of when you want to say, hey, if I am going to think about taking some profits, you don't want to be doing it until you're in this window, right? Based upon each halving, 1, 2, and 3. And so we're not even there yet. We don't even have a thought of that until January 2025. And so this is cool because what we find is I think the sweet spot really, really is in between like week 60 and 80. But, you know, week 40 is cool. But why we also pay attention to this, because 135 weeks after the halving, this is when we say, all right, cool, let's go ahead and start really DCAing into those alts again. And this is not even looking at Bitcoin or ratioing it against it. It's just good value for alts. And as you can see, this is a growing space. And then so why do we want some type of exposure, not like 100% to low cap alts, but hey, some alts outside of the top 10 simply is because the lower market cap are going to have higher appreciation rates than what Ethereum can get us or what even Solana could get us. And so, for example, you know, from this low to high, right, that's a 72x in expansion in market cap. Now, I'm not saying every coin is going to 72x, but on a broad-based scale, you can be brazenly long, understanding that you'll get a portion of that growth if you're in an alt that's not in the top 10. And so instead of, you know, getting that 72x, you know, from this cycle, if you would have had this having profit window, and then so boom, once again, we are already 6x up off the bottom for the altcoin space at its best. Not even that, 400% at its best. And with that being said, we've got a lot to go because a lot of those gains happen after you break out the channel, because even here, it ended up being a 72x, but in the channel, right? In the channel, it was at best only 6x. And then so you see how things can compound once you get out that channel. This is what the goal is here this cycle, is to get out of this channel and pop out and have that liquidity rush. You know, things that are helpful, other things that Vaulted Crypto members have access to. So come over to the indicators invite only, is get access to this. So this global net liquidity 90-day oscillator gives us a good understand on a 90-day basis. And then so this is best used on a daily. So on a 90-day basis, what are things looking like? And so as you can kind of see, we have on a global basis, it's not a huge liquidity rush, but it is slowly positive. Let me make it make sense. So once again, we had some liquidity start to come back in October, November 2022. We had the altcoin bottom in January of 2023, so about right here. And we had just very minimal gain. And then so this, so now y'all can see why the channel looks like what it looks like, because it's just been just a very slow growth of liquidity growth. Same thing like back here, slow growth of liquidity. And then over a 90-day basis, it gets turned on. And so this happens often, right? or you'll have nice smooth trajectory. All we just need is time. Positive liquidity growth for time is always a win, but if we have a liquidity push like this, it's even better. Election is here, y'all. Giving kids out to the candy, or giving candy out to the kids, is here. It's on the midst. As soon as some of these bills get passed, that's what we're going to look for. So it's not just like random. It's just like you're looking for bills to be passed. Bills that pass, like, hey, funding for this initiative, funding for that. It comes without those key terms. Funding, right? Infrastructure, stuff like that. And so this is a chart to pay attention to, once again, the having profit window as well. We need to also be able to say, hey, what do the prospects look like to the upside? So if we do a fib retracement, grab the high to the low, as you can see, we exceeded the 4.2 in the last cycle. So that's what that 72x in market capitalization for the space looks like. From top to low, and the expansion was very nice. So even if we don't even do that, let's say we're a little less bullish. We take top, bottom, and let's say we don't even go, like, if we want to take that reading, we would be somewhere around like $2.5 trillion for the altcoin space minus the top 10. Let's say we just get to the 3.6. Where does that have us? That has us, and this is dubious speculation here, right? So take this with a grain of salt. But that has getting us to 1.5 trillion. And that's decent for things that are not in the top 10. From today's standpoint, that's still a 6x on your portfolio. So a 500% gain. So you take your position, you 5x it, you add them together. So that's a 6x multiple. But from these lows, right? From these lows, and this basin that we had an opportunity to invest in altcoins basically all of 2023. And we still got an opportunity here on this dip to, go ahead and grab some more before we break out of this channel. But the key is this. Like, that's a 12x on your average altcoin. So that's pretty good, man. Imagine on your Illuvium, on your Rune, on your VRA, like let me just go down the list of things that we've talked about here on the channel. Your near token, obviously, like your Pulse and PulseX. Once again, guys, in the Patreon, I did a DCA, and I do them live. So a portfolio DCA that, y'all don't have to follow it, but it kind of models out, hey, kind of what to look for, how to go about your DCAs, how to get like basins and local lows. We got the low, like I think, what was the DCA, like $500, but it was on the ETH token. It was on Pulse and PulseX, but it was on July 9th or 10th, I believe. And so that has had a nice return. So July 10th, I want to say, is it this wick here? Yeah, it's this wick. And in the Patreon, for the paid members, y'all got access to how I did it, and y'all are able to see it live in action. And so, but from that point, it's beautiful. That position is up 68%. How many things like we went on CoinGecko? We didn't see anything up in the past week that was up 68% in the past week in the top, 300? So you guys, do not forget about post-chain ecosystem. I understand that, yes, the first year and a half was like, man, what's going on here? But understand, this is all about positioning. All good things, good products, and as we can see, post-chain ecosystem has not had no downtime, no glitches, none of that stuff. There's been a lot of dump action. So what y'all need to understand about post-chain ecosystem is the following. Just like how there's a lot of dump action by Grayscale at the beginning, that fades off. There's a lot of dump action because of all these people that sacrifice that weren't long-term believers. But if you just look at this chart, it's still constructive. So dump action, Pulse, dump action. If we want to look at, and this is the ETH token. Now it's a little bit different, but if you look at this, it dumped right to the 8.5 fib level. I seen that. I was like, okay, time's looking real ripe, and the timing of it all, where nobody, is talking about it. These are always good. We also throw on the fear and greed index. Once again, you get access to this when you're in the Patreon. we had dipped below this for a long time. The fear and greed index for any asset, you can see we were at like 1, not even like we're not even at 1, we're at 0.6. Oh, time is ripe. So we use all these indicators to help us make good decisions. So we had a DCA, and then so that's nice because that looks to be a local low. If Bitcoin wants to go out and pop out and make new all-time highs, this is going to be a beta play, better technology for sure, and this is going to trend higher in percentage gain. So once again, this is one of the altcoins that can kind of represent the other space to an extent. And so if you want to think about it, from this standpoint, from this local low, this space up 24%, but Inc is up what, 60? It's a 2x beta on even the altcoin space. So learn to look at things in these different aspects. Now, last thing that I'll do, and let me check some comments before we go. Let me see. Oh yeah, so talking about Uber needs to be knocked down a few pegs. I agree. So when are we expecting the alts to move and be super bullish? No one can tell you when, what is trend, like what the cycle's trend. Like, okay, let me explain this. There are cyclical things that happen in election cycles, and they trend in certain ways during election years, so Q4. But we don't know if it's going to be like that liquidity push for the alts even. We'll probably see Bitcoin trickle and Ethereum trickle higher and also kind of follow. But for that hockey stick moment is what I call it. We need liquidity push, and that's new money coming into the system. We got to look at M2 and a couple factors for that. And no one can tell you exactly when. But better chances are looking more so towards, Q4 this year and next year. Not now. We're not seeing it now. So that's kind of how I would answer that question. So last thing that we can do is now we take this and we ratio this against BTC. And what you'll find is this is going to show us some information. So Bitcoin, okay, let's do that ratio. Okay, let's make this on the big chart. And we'll do this on the weekly. And we'll take the halving profit window out of here for now. But I mean, all right. Why do I say, all right, okay, we'll keep the halving profit window because it keeps making itself relevant on these charts. Let's take it off real quick. Let me give some context. So ratios are very important to understand. The sooner that you can understand them, the better allocator of capital that you can be. And understand the sentiment. So this is saying, hey, when this chart is going up, this is outperforming the market cap of Bitcoin. So the market cap of all the alts outside the top 10 are outperforming Bitcoin. So as you can see, these are when you feel excited if you carry a lot of altcoins. So liquidity pushes like that. When this chart is going up, liquidity push like that is when you feel excited and your altcoins are ripping and running versus BTC. Liquidity pushes like that. So we got like 3 main, like this one was amazing. This is why this cycle back in 2017 was just so euphoric. But even here in 2019, but then also this liquidity push here in 2021. As you notice, these time periods, and really want to use this last one as a good, I guess you can say comparison, fractal, is that from January 2021 to January 2022. So a nice year, but really if you want to look at it like that real fun part, that beginning, like, okay, we're in the bull run for the alts, was from January to May. So we're talking 5 months. This is something that we got to recognize. The period that we're all waiting for is a small time window. And then we had a drawdown. And then we had another, time period of where we had continuation. But that was from August of 2021 to January. So just about 6 months. So we're looking for things of where this chart is going up. If you guys notice versus BTC, the alts has just been like chilling. Like they haven't really had an extreme push to the upside. To make it make sense, look at the orientation of this chart. Is this one going down versus Bitcoin? So that still presents an opportunity because how it went down versus BTC for an extended period of time, you know, we have an opportunity to get them at their lower valuations on their BTC pairing. And I don't, for the life of me, I can't understand, if you know that this is going to be a higher percentage gain than BTC in the long run, why be like, oh, well, it's losing against BTC, I want to stay away. No, this is when you want to go towards it, right? And so, for example, this is how we can quantify what this looks like. And the halving profit window verifies that, and when the liquidity comes back, it comes back very quick. And even in the later stage, or even in the middle of a bull run, because as you see here, like this is like saying, okay, here's a safe DCA range, boom, 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 boom. Even last cycle. So we're talking about from January 2019 all the way up into January 2020. And it, you know, we got another double dip for COVID, was another opportunity. But look, we didn't have that main liquidity rush right before the halving profit window. So this is like January 2021, December. And then it's like, okay, the story changes completely from this moment to that moment. 100%. And this is on the pairing of Bitcoin. So as Bitcoin's going up, this is going up 4 times faster, 361%. That's what that means in speed. And the percentages are going to vary depending on the coin that you have. So that's how you understand this. So we're not even there yet. So like I said, really have some patience, y'all. Like once we get to November, December, let's check back and see if we see some green candles on this ratio. But what we're really looking for is, hey, can we pass? Can we pass? Because if we want to look at the chunk of price action, can we pass this midpoint? As you can see, this dotted line here, we had some resistance here. And this is October on the pairing, November 2023. And I know y'all felt that. So y'all felt that liquidity push, especially once we got September and October for those alts versus Bitcoin. But that was, you know, a small one. We're looking for a large one. So we're looking for large stuff like this or like this, right? Large movements on this ratio versus BTC. And so let me put that back up. We want to beat this midline, because once we beat this midline, even on this ratio, we can kind of look at fixed volume profile. And so we're going to take a look at this price action from here to here, for example. And as you can see, a lot of participants were here. And so the point of control is this blue line, which lines up with this midline here of this channel. But there is some, you know, like on this pairing, there is some fight that we got to get through. So look at all these spikes here. Boom, boom, boom. This is a lot of activity on this ratio between people saying, hey, how do they feel versus Bitcoin and the rest of these other altcoins? And then so there's some activity here. But once again, we'll be able to really, really start to get some movement and excel once we're out of this channel. And the key thing is we can accelerate to the higher portion pretty fast. Why do I say that? Because just in the same way how you had a local high here in 2018 on the ratio, and then you have the bear market. And then so if we want to just look at general price action, so we take the local high and we just bring it to the local low. So bring it across. And we tag those local lows. It's funny how, you know, there's confluence with this bit of support here. And then so we go through, we kind of break above the midline, but then we go back down. We break above the midline, use it as support. We break back down. But as you can see, that when liquidity rushes back, it comes when it wants. And then we come back to the top part of that channel in a quick fashion. So it doesn't have to be like this choppy, like slow grind up to this top portion here. It can be quick. That's how the altcoin space moves. When people get excited about it, it happens fast and it's consecutive. We turn this into Heikin-Ashi candles. As you can see, the trend, the candles get larger and larger and larger, and there are no wicks to the downside. So as you can see, no wicks to the downside when we're moving bullish, right? No wicks to the downside when we're moving bullish for the altcoin space. So that can happen. And so we're trying to at least get to this white line before we start making any critical like assumptions on the altcoin market cap. for the stuff that's not in the top 10. So this is key. I'm hoping that this view and this conversation is helpful for you guys. Before we go, do y'all have any questions, any thoughts, concerns, anything while we still here? Do y'all have anything? Any thoughts, questions, concerns? This ratio is key to understand. Let me see. Cool. All right. So my time is up today. You guys continue to do your research, watch these streams, educate yourselves, learn ratios, see what the sentiment is out there on the street. So the people around you, but then also do some research on X if y'all have the time, be able to look at, say, how are these large market players, these market makers projecting and talking about this market? You know, what are the events coming up? All these things matter. This was a general, a light stream, a lot of little topics touched, but we put it all together to help us get a good feel for what we're doing. And this is key to do. So, you know, I consider this to be a beautiful time in crypto, to be honest. I really enjoy spending time doing the research and kind of sharing it with you guys. But once again, let's talk about this. So Bitcoin conference coming up, but you guys, the Votes of Crypto, y'all can tap that free button, but there are 3 member tiers. So the key about all the stuff that I showed on TradingView, the executive tier, like these guys in here are getting all the tools, and having tools is key. So consider, there's the VOC, Votes of Crypto Explorer, where you get access to the chat and everything. You get the market analysis bi-weekly, and you get some beginner's guides to kind of help you get started. And here's just kind of saying, hey, you want access to the chat, and you get 1 video a month to kind of get the macro thesis, the thesis within the market. And there's a free version where you can kind of just, you know, I throw some nuggets in there here and there. So come and check it out. The link is in the description, but I'm going to put it here in the chat. And the Vault is a place where you guys can come and thrive. There's plenty of opportunity for y'all to do that, but at the end of the day, no one can do it for you. And my goal here is just to be an asset to you guys in information and giving you good quality analysis in many different fronts, on-chain, obviously technical analysis and sentiment, but then the aspect of you know, I've been a market player here for a minute, y'all. And I'm even doing live demonstrations on how to get access to different protocols, how to make sure you're DCAing in the post-chain ecosystem the right way. And what I'll be doing private streams where you guys can ask me anything, but only for the executive members. So just private streams we can be on for an hour or 2 and just say, okay, what do y'all want to look at? Okay, y'all want to look at how to research real world assets and see what they have to offer over there? Okay, cool, let's do it on a live stream. And so once again, y'all check it out. Link is in the description. Link is in the chat. And you know, and we'll keep rocking and rolling. But I appreciate you guys for stopping through. Much more to come. You know, we'll hop on YouTube here probably within the next few days to the next week. Subscribe if you have not subscribed. Click that notification bell if you have not to get all the notifications on when I do drop a stream. And y'all stay up to date, okay? So this market is fun. Make it fun by being a better investor. It's only not fun when you're not making good moves. So learn to make better moves for yourself and your portfolio. And, you know, it's all about you and where you want to go for your life, your financial freedom. I think crypto is a nice place to start. So with that being said, I will catch y'all in the next video. All right, peace.